Disturbing Reddit finds that you can definitely find on Reddit, but I most certainly do not suggest doing so. Part 2. There is a post that someone had made in the subreddit r/confessions. He confessed to being obsessed with parasites. He talks about how he had pinworms once as a kid and he went to the doctor and got rid of them, but then he was obsessed with them, so he would like purposely give himself different parasites, and then he would non-consensually transfer those parasites to other people. So he talked about how he would sometimes drop tapeworm eggs into people's drinks at bars as he was walking past. He would drop pinworms into food at buffets to unknowingly infect other people. He talks about one time he had slept with a woman just hoping to give her pinworms, but he actually in turn got pubic lice from her, and he said it was a win-win for him, and he said he then went on to transfer the pubic lice to at least 4 different women. He also referred to the parasites as his babies and how he just wanted to spread his babies as much as humanly possible. I don't know about you, but all of a sudden I'm thinking like, no more Chinese buffet, because what the fuck? If you would like to read the entire post, you can go on Reddit, go to r/confessions. It's a subreddit just called Confessions, and then you can just search parasites. You're gonna find it, but trigger warning. Ew. This next one, I do not know which subreddit it was on. I do have the full original post. It has since been deleted, but I do have a copy of it. A woman had 2 twin daughters. One was perfectly healthy, and the other one was always sick. It turns out she was deathly allergic to coconut. No big deal, right? Coconut allergy sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Until grandma, who lives and breathes and dies by coconut oil for hair, watches the twin girls one night. And so the grandmother, who was one of those that did not believe that a coconut allergy could possibly be real, decides that she is going to slather their hair in coconut oil to try and tame it. And now keep in mind, the parents have told the grandmother multiple times, this is a deathly coconut allergy. Like if she just like brushes against it in passing or something, we have to take precautions with anti-allergy medication, and we have to like get her in the bathtub and get any traces of coconut off of her. So after she put this coconut oil in this little girl's hair, the little girl started to get a little sleepy. So the grandmother then gave her Benadryl, which is totally fine for allergies 90% of the time. But in this particular situation, she gave the girl a Benadryl and left the coconut oil in her hair. The Benadryl made her sleepy and unable to wake up and or be conscious enough to wake up her brother or cry. She vomited in her sleep. The rash spread all over her body. Her body was swollen to twice its normal size, and she had asphyxiated in her sleep. And apparently she died very painfully and very slowly in the early hours of the morning. The original post is not on Reddit, but you can just like Google grandmother kills child with coconut allergy Reddit and you'll find it. This one, it was a post by a teenage girl who had walked in on her parents getting down and dirty, and her mother was dressed up as the teenage daughter. She was wearing one of her dresses. The girl just like, of course, immediately walks out. First and foremost, what are you doing banging on the living room couch when your daughter could come home at any time? Okay, that's weird. The girl ran out of the house and went to stay with a friend, and her mom kept trying to like contact her, and the girl said she needed some time before she came home, and her mom finally confessed to her that her father had a fetish for the mother dressing up, not as just a teenage girl in general, but specifically as his daughter. You can definitely find that one on Reddit. Search for teenage girl walks in on mom role-playing as her. Reddit. You can just Google that. This one is not a specific story, but it was a subreddit which has since been removed called Incontinent Desire. It was a subreddit for people trying to un-toilet train themselves. The man who watched his wife almost beat their son to death and was happy about it. I'll give you a little bit of backstory on this one because this one's a doozy, okay? Husband and wife get married, decide to have a baby. They had the baby, and there was always something wrong with it. If you've ever seen We Need to Talk About Kevin, it was like that. Like from birth, that baby had it out for the parents. The parents deal with years of abuse from this child, and then eventually a teenager and eventually an adult. Physical abuse, destroying property. The son was just a horrible person in general. When he was either late teenagehood / early adulthood, mom got pregnant again. And her and the father were, of course, petrified, horrified, because they didn't want a redo of their current situation. They decided to keep the baby, and it was a baby girl, and she was born perfect. They were sitting here thinking like, this is how my life is supposed to be. One day, the father walks in on the older brother standing over the baby's crib, taking a knife and running the tip of it down the baby's face. The dad says that like he just lost it and went for his son, but not before mama got there. Throughout this entire story, you're thinking like, you know, regular, degular, schmegular woman, right? But no, this woman, she was a professional MMA fighter. And she knew how to beat some ass. She walked up to that boy and she socked him in the face. And then she socked him again in the face. And then she started beating the living crap out of him. And at this point, Dad went and picked up the baby, took the baby to the kitchen, made himself a cup of coffee, and he was just hearing his wife beat the shit out of their son. And it went on for a really long time. And then the dad went back into the living room and the son was laying there and he thought that he was dead, but he was not. So the wife and the husband took the baby girl and barricaded themselves in the basement and left him to his own devices upstairs. They heard a lot of noise and a lot of commotion for a long time, weeks, and then he disappeared. And they went upstairs and the entire upstairs was completely trashed. He had smeared his own feces all over the wall. He had smeared rotten food everywhere. Like, it was just disgusting. But he never came back. And that in and of itself was a blessing for them. That one you can literally just search, "My wife almost beat my son to death," and I'm happy about it. And you'll find it. This one was wild. There was a woman that made a post about how she thought that her boyfriend, who was a doctor, she thought that he was like drugging her because she would have like big gaps in her memory, and then she would have these plans to break up with him, but then she'd be at his house and she was super paranoid. She didn't know what was going on, so she was like, "I really think that he's drugging me." She talked about how at one point she found like red marks on her thighs that looked like needle marks. She was asking what the best way to go about like pressing charges on him was because she wanted him brought to justice, of course. Someone got in the comments and said, "So paranoid, delusions, anxiety, gaps in memory, this might be a long shot, but have you checked your bed for bed bugs? Because when you have a bad bed bug infestation, they bite you all night and it can mess with your REM sleep. So you might be going to sleep, but you're never fully falling into that deep, deep sleep. And that's where the paranoid delusions come from." As it turns out, she had a horrible bed bug infestation and her boyfriend was not abusing her. So always check your hotel rooms for bed bugs. That's why I don't go to movie theaters, because rats and bed bugs. Thanks for watching.